everyone, we are here at KubeCon Detroit 2022. I'm here at the Keptn booth, and how are you doing, man? How's it going?
Good. I'm actually happy that we finally get to meet face to face because I've watched some of your videos, so it's awesome that you come to me.
Yeah. And what has your KubeCon experience been like? You have a booth. So do you get like a lot of people joining in, good discussions happening?
I would say we got high quality discussions from, I think I'm happier with high quality than with just a lot of quantity. So that's, I think it's actually perfect, right?
Let's talk about it. So what are the new things that you had discussed? And before moving forward with that, can you tell us a little bit more about Keptn and what are the challenges you're solving?
Yeah, so I think we started with Keptn back in 2019. And this is actually the repeating story that we're telling here. Back in 2019, we tried to solve the problems that we saw 3 years ago, which means we tried to figure out how can we make observability a center space of making decisions in DevOps and SRE practices. So we really built Keptn around SLOs, Keptn integrating with the observability platform, figuring out is your environment healthy, so that when you are deploying into an environment, you can, from your existing tools like Jenkins or GitLab, you can say, Keptn, is my environment healthy? And if so, great, then I'll deploy, or maybe you deploy, and afterwards, Keptn tell me if my environment is still healthy, is my application running? And so Keptn was again reaching out to observability. We could define SLIs and SLOs, service level objectives, and then we calculated the total score that was then fed back to the tool. And that was great, and we had a lot of adoption, but really, I think why we're now shifting, and this is the big new thing we announced this week, and by the way, the gentleman that is holding the camera right now, he's actually the mastermind behind it. But we didn't build it 3 years ago with the real cloud native spirit in mind. We actually built something that was requiring to be installed on Kubernetes. However, it was mainly used by people that were still deploying traditionally, also in traditional environments. They just liked the fact that we could do pre and post deployments. But it felt a little clunky and hard because some people all of a sudden had to install a Kubernetes cluster where they never used Kubernetes before. So it felt like a hurdle. And then the people were asking, why do you use your own configuration repository? Why can't you just use Kubernetes primitives? Because if you are managing my deployments, pre and post checks, why can't I just define this as part of my COD? So we took all of this feedback and voila, here we are in 2022. And we brought to the world the next version of Keptn, which is what we call the Keptn Lifecycle Controller. What the Keptn Lifecycle Controller does, it's an operator for Kubernetes. The operator is easy to install. It is really targeted, obviously, just for Kubernetes because that's where the world ended up now. We're all in Kubernetes. It is basically extending the scheduler of Kubernetes because, as you know, the scheduler takes a request to deploy, finds where can I deploy it based on my resources. But what Kubernetes doesn't have is a concept of applications. So we actually bring the concept of applications to the Kubernetes world by looking at different annotations on your deployment. So you can annotate a deployment, say this is service A and B, they all belong to the same app. So what Keptn can do, it can do pre-deployment checks, meaning when you deploy something in a Kubernetes cluster, you want to make sure that your environment is ready. So we can validate, is the environment ready? Do you have enough error budget? Are your external dependencies actually there? Because I'm pretty sure most of you had the problem if you deploy a new version and maybe into an environment that is currently not ready, ending up with more mess than before. So we're doing pre-deployment checks where we are basically holding Kubernetes off from deploying until all the checks are done. And then we do the same thing post-deployment. When you deploy it, you want to make sure...
And compare that.
And we can compare this, and we can also, after the deployment, figure out, is the system running as expected? We can trigger your synthetic tests. We can look at observability data. We can notify people about the deployment. Because in the end, what we really want is a better developer experience on Kubernetes so that you can always deploy and you are made sure that Keptn only lets the deployment happen if the environment is ready to accept the deployment, and it validates if the deployment is successful in the end. And the way we do the validation, that's the last sentence I want to say, we provide you to either execute functions, so you can write TypeScript functions where you can call any type of external tool. We also still have the integration with the observability platform, so you can define which metrics you want to pull in as part of the validation. There's additional things we're working on, like dependency detection. We want to do additional things like allowing you to execute a container. But the point is, it is cloud native. It doesn't require you to change your pipeline, but we're bringing all the goodness of Keptn 1.0, as we call it, into pure cloud native, using cloud native primitives. And
that's good, like cloud native first approach. That's why we're here at KubeCon. And since we're talking about it, I work at Civo, we're also a cloud native service provider. and you used Civo for your demos.
Yeah.
So I would just like to get your experience with how was it?
Yeah, it was nice because, as I said, right, obviously this lives in Kubernetes. It needs Kubernetes. It's super easy on Civo to stand up a Kubernetes cluster. I used it for my demos. I used it for my workshops. I can just applaud you and thanks for that.
Thank you
for that service. Yeah.
So you get $250 of credit, but if you're a part of a developer program, you can get $1,000 for free.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is: so you mentioned that you took the community feedback, you implemented it. So if we talk about the future roadmaps,
Yeah.
What trends are you likely to see in the upcoming years?
Yeah, I hope that what we are building here is going to be the future going forward. We hope that some of the concepts we are bringing into the Kubernetes scheduler will make it maybe even closer to Kubernetes, the core projects. Also, we want to collaborate with more people around application definitions. We have introduced the concept of an application. We're talking with others in the space here to figure out, can we come up with a standard so that it is not kept in proprietary. I think these are the things we want to see, and also just adoption, giving us feedback.
Amazing. So if you want to get involved with the Keptn community, you can check out the links in the description below. For more clips from KubeCon, check out Civo TV on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Bye.